Welcome to the Choir Conductor podcast. Each episode features a conversation with people in the choir or music education profession. I am your host, Zach Thompson. Let's start the show. My guest today is Evan Powers. Evan is a graduate of Florida State University and currently serves as the choral director at Avalon Middle School in Orlando, Florida. During his time at FSU, he was also a co-founder and the first music director of Reverb, FSU's all-male acapella group. Prior to teaching at Avalon Middle School, Mr. Powers spent the first 4 years of his teaching career at Fleming Island High School in Orange Park, Florida, where he was named Teacher of the Year for the 2012-2013 school year. Welcome to the podcast, Evan.
Hello.
So glad to have you on.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So let's start by having you talk about your musical upbringing.
Cool. So I was one of those kids that would sit in the back of the minivan and sing constantly and stem out. And then my mom would be like, "What you doing?" And I'd be like, "Oh, nothing." And then I'd start breathing the rhythm of the song instead of singing it. And so it just it was kind of like a music through my veins kind of a thing.
Uh-huh.
So I did that for a long time and nothing formal. And then my mom tried to talk me into auditioning for a children's choir, which sounded super lame. So I refused to audition for the children's choir. And so she kept working at me. And after, I forget if it was a few months or a year or something like that, she basically more or less tricked me into going to the audition.
Nice.
We showed up there and it was kind of too late at that point. So did the audition and then ended up really loving it and getting bit by the bug, and then have been singing in choirs ever since. So I did middle school choir, high school choir, musicals and stuff in high school, pretty much everything I can get my hands on. I was in a barbershop chorus my senior year of high school. And then went to Florida State for choral music ed and did every ensemble that I could fit into my schedule and created one just because I wanted more. And then started teaching after that and taught high school for 4 years. And now I'm teaching middle school and I love it.
That's great. Yeah, I also, when I was in elementary school, thought the chorus was lame. We had...
So.
Yeah, in my school... I grew up in Pennsylvania, and in third grade, you had to take choir, but in fourth grade, you had the option not to, and so I opted out. Great decision.
Did you pick band?
What's that?
Did you pick band over choir? Was that the option?
No, it was you go and read, or you go. It wasn't something else. Yeah, I don't know. It was strange.
Interesting choices to put in front of a kid.
Yeah, yeah. Who knows why they did it that way? So, are you originally from Florida?
I'm from Connecticut.
Wow.
The children's choir was Troublemakers Children's Choir at University of Connecticut, and at the time, Dr. Mary Ellen Junda was the conductor, and she was awesome. I loved her.
Great. And what brought you to Florida?
It was warm, and no, I applied to 7 different schools, and I really, really loved my audition and the basically flying down to Florida State and the time I spent there. And there was a couple of other schools that I was super, super into and really wanted to go to, but they were a lot more expensive than this one was. And then they gave me an in-state tuition waiver for most of my credits, and that kind of sealed the deal. And so my parents pretty much sat me down and said, "Evan, you need to go here." But it was fine because I really wanted to anyway. So, and then I wouldn't trade it for the world. I loved it. It was awesome.
Yeah. Winters are great in Florida.
Well, I grew up in Connecticut, and it's the cloudiest. So I was just used to winter, fall. I mean, the leaves are beautiful in the fall, and there are really beautiful things about the spring and the summer, but there's a lot of clouds, and rain and stuff. And then in Florida, I would walk out of my dorm every day and look at a blue, pretty much cloudless sky and this beautiful campus and just be like, why didn't I force this to happen sooner? But I'm glad that I did now. And I haven't left Florida. I actually planned on leaving Florida right after I finished at Florida State. But in my internship, basically I got there and my supervising teacher said, if you um, want to take over this program at the end of your internship, I'm retiring, and it's all yours if you want it. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was one of those. So I was like, no, I'm gonna move up towards DC and go do that. And he was like, yeah, okay. And the school was awesome, and I loved the kids, and we had a lot of um, just major bonding experiences. And it was a pretty unique situation, and so I ended up falling in love with it and staying, and then stayed for 4 years.
Wow,
It was
great.
awesome.
And did you originally want to be a high school teacher?
I don't know. I was thinking, I think in my junior and senior year, I was thinking more towards middle school,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where a lot of our field experience was in school, and I loved podium time in a middle school classroom because middle schoolers are crazy.
Yes.
So that was really fun. And but I mean, my internship was with a high school by design, because I wanted to do a high school because I didn't have as much experience with my field experience in a high
Mm-hmm.
school. I just wanted to make sure I was kind of getting my feet wet in both areas, and then I just kind of ended up staying there, and I loved it, and I miss high schoolers. I really loved high school, but I had to move, and
Right.
so I figured when I moved, I should try middle school so that I can do both secondary levels before thinking about grad school, and knowing where my weaknesses are and what I need to focus on. So
Talk about your current schedule at your school.
okay, so I see 315-ish kids in a day, and I have a beginning men's chorus first period, and they're sweeties, and this is the only year that I'm going to have a beginning men's chorus that is full of sweeties. So I'm loving it, and I'm
Good.
cherishing it. And I know that it'll never happen again. There's 40 of them, and they pretty much all want to sing, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. And then I've got an intermediate women's choir. It's about 75 girls, second period. 75 seventh and eighth grade girls in one room. It's a good time. And then third period is my advanced eighth grade women's choir, and they're wonderful. And then fourth and sixth period are both beginning women's choirs. Fourth period is about 50 girls, mostly sixth grade, a couple seventh graders. And then sixth period is sixth, seventh, and eighth grade girls, and there's like 60 something of them, 62, 63. And fifth period is my boys who are full of potential. They're my they're my varsity men's chorus, seventh and eighth grade boys. They're all in their second or third year of chorus, and um, their behavior is really awesome and makes me really happy every day.
Okay.
Just kidding. Uh, they make good sounds though when they feel like it, so that's good.
That's good. Yeah.
It's very it's typical. I should
Yeah.
be better at it, but I'm still figuring out how to manage it. I wish I could get them more motivated than I do. First period though, they're totally motivated.
That's
Those boys
great.
are good. Yeah, so there's something. So
Yeah. I
that's
mean,
that's
I mean,
huh?
300 students is nothing to, that's amazing.
Well, it's a giant school,
Oh yeah.
and there's like 2,000 kids at the school, sixth, seventh, eighth grade.
My goodness.
So yeah, it's out of control. So we're getting a relief school next year, and so we're gonna go down to around like I think 11 or 1,200 is what's projected, maybe 1,100 or something. So those numbers will drop. Hopefully not a ton.
Hmm.
Kids seem to really like singing. In Orlando, it's kind of a cool culture. There's like a lot of kids who are just like all about singing or playing an instrument. So out of the 2,000 kids at our school, I think 1,000 of them are in music classes, either band or orchestra or chorus.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah, we have super high enrollment, which is our band program is ridiculous. There's 400 kids in that program.
Wow.
Yeah, and then almost 200 in orchestra, so that's cool. So those are the classes, and then I have a pop acapella group that we just started this year. I was really on the fence because like middle school pop acapella, like,
Yeah.
but if you arrange for it and treat it like more or less a traditional choir, and then are just like stylistically correct when it comes to like the solos and some of the style stuff around the backs, but still totally healthy singing. It's
Hmm.
it's a really good ear training for those kids. Oh my gosh, like they
Yeah.
learn tons about chord structure and um finding their note within a key with no piano help and stuff like that. So they're doing great with that. Um, and that's Tuesday morning and Thursday afternoon. And then on Wednesday afternoons, we go to the assisted living around the corner for a program called Songbird. And the kids are trained. We take 20 kids, and they're trained in they get like dementia training. So they learn how to communicate with people with dementia, and what is going on with the disease, and kind of how to handle it basically.
Hmm.
And the kids are paired up with a residence, two kids to one resident, and they figure out what kind of music they like. Sometimes it's verbal, like the resident can tell them what they like, and other times it's very much not. And the kids will like YouTube stuff and play it and see how the residents react. And they
Hmm.
put together a playlist, and then every week they get together with the residents and share the playlists and share memories and sing together. And that's the highlight of my week. That's the best part.
That is a really cool idea.
We do. It's awesome. It's not my idea, but we love it, love it, love it. And we're working on a program guide for it right now, so that other schools can really seamlessly start a similar program, because it's been so
Hmm.
good for me and for my kids and for our
Yeah.
students, that this is like it's got to be something that other people do. So we do that on Wednesdays, and then got a musical going on right now. But then there's always the everythings of being a choir director. We've got
Uh-huh.
conference and honor choir and event imaginable. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the going to the resident place on Wednesdays. That, I
Mhm.
mean, not only is that going to have an extreme benefit for the residents, but your singers.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. Because in middle school they have a lot of trouble seeing outside of themselves, and
Mhm.
they a lot of the time they think they are, or they might be very empathetic individuals, but just because of brain formation and not fully, the prefrontal cortex is still on its way to being a thing and stuff like that. They need experiences like this to really be able to relate to people who are not like them, and to feel like they have a purpose and feel like they have someone who they're caring for, and whose life they're making better. It completely affects them. They want to volunteer more, and um, they want to be around the elderly more, which is awesome, and
Mhm.
they just want to serve. So it's really really cool. I've seen kids make huge it brings kids out of their shells. I could go on and on and on.
Right.
I did at FMEA, so I'm like a
Yeah.
little talked out about it.
Sure.
But it's an amazing program, and I hope that we do it forever. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
I mean, it's just one other great way to show the power of music.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool when the kids are playing a song and the residents just start singing, just without thinking about it. They just start singing, and then the kids start singing with them. And these are kids who would, never sing in front of other people, never audition for a solo, but in that
Mhm.
moment, that's their purpose, is to share music with their person. And it's really beautiful, the relationships that they share. And so we started with a similar program last year, and then have just made tweaks this year, and it's been really cool. So
That's excellent.
yeah.
Speaking of FMEA, you did
Hmm.
a wonderful presentation there. And one thing that you were talking about was using tuning forks.
I
And
always have a tuning
yeah,
fork.
and this it blew me away with the videos that you showed. They were so cool. Can
That's
you
awesome.
can
I'm
you
glad you're
talk a little bit about how you came about this and what you're doing with the tuning forks?
Yeah, so tuning forks are magic. But it's funny because, like, I think they're kind of thought of as like an old-fashioned kind of a thing.
Uh-huh.
But when I was in that children's choir I was talking about before, my director always hit one on her knee, and then found the starting pitch from there. And I'm a little kid seeing a shiny thing, like someone hitting themselves with it, so I'm like all about that. So I was like, really curious as to what that was, and she showed us and let us use it a little bit, and it kind of became an interest for a minute, and then I forgot about it for a long time. until I was in my friend's classroom at Winter Park High School. Joseph Kemper was using tuning forks with his advanced women's choir, and he had this little bucket in the middle of the room. And at the start of rehearsal, all the girls would go to the bucket and take out their tuning fork, and he started by saying, "Okay, G major scale," and they all hit their little tuning forks and put it to their ears and found a G and sang a scale, and my jaw hit the floor. And it was just the coolest. There were a bunch of us in the room, and we were like, "Wow, that's just." We didn't realize that kids could do that, but it's so
Right.
easy once you know how to structure it and sequence it. It is like I introduced them to in the presentation, I was showing videos of my advanced girls, so they're like my third year girls,
Mhm.
a lot of ear training background, a lot of sight singing background, that kind of thing, so they could move into it pretty seamlessly. I just introduced it to my intermediate girls last week, middle of last week. Seamless for them too, but just because of solfege background, really.
Right.
Basically, the tuning fork plays an A, and this sequence is I got this from Hillary Ridgely, who's a doctoral student at FSU right now, and she used to teach at Rochelle School of the Arts, Middle School of the Arts. She said basically, as far as the white keys on the piano go, besides B, um, make whatever note the kids want to find do. So, for example, make F do,
Mhm.
and then figure out what A is going to be from there on the solfege scale. So, if F is do, A is going to be me. And then, so the kids hit the tuning fork, they hear the A, they sing that on me, then they go mi re do, and then they found their F. Like it's that easy.
Yeah.
So it is super super easy to introduce it to kids who even have just that much knowledge, and then you can build anything off of that. Build or sing row 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 you boat off of an F, sing an F major scale. Uh, do any number? Oh, crap, Juju on that beat. Sing Juju on that beat, starting on an F, and like they're all like, oh yeah, okay. That's all they care about. So, well,
Uh-huh.
actually, I think Juju on that beat is even a little outdated now, which makes me pretty uncool. But that's
Yeah.
okay. At least I didn't ask him to like hit the whip on it or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, so I think I digressed by accident. So anyway, I saw him using that, and I said, "Where did what's the sequence? How'd you figure that out?" And he said, "Call Hillary." So I called Hillary. She told me her sequence that she uses. I think she starts her kids on tuning forks when they're in like fifth grade, fourth
Wow.
grade, just like something nuts. But she would always have them find a D or always have them find a G, that kind of thing, and then she'd expand on it as they got older. So, that's the basic sequence, and then off of that, if your kids know half steps and whole steps or have a general idea of how they sound, they can find that F using solfege and then find F sharp just by going up a half step
Right.
or something like that. And for B, they just make the A do and then make B re. And you can do that with numbers if you don't do solfege or
Mhm.
really whatever you want to do. Um, and so my kids are getting super, super good ears for all the different scale degrees, for intervals, because, they'll find something and I'll say, and that was a third, and that was a fourth, and that kind of thing. And then, I can get to the point where I can say, okay, go up a third or up a major third or, something like that, or it's down a fifth, and they'll go doo doo, and they're just used to it from
Oh,
finding
good.
D. Um, and so it's an amazing ear trainer in that too. But um, I don't know, you can apply it to everything. We're just finishing up key signatures in one of my classes, and so
Mhm.
if they know the name of the key signature, then they can find do. And so now we're at the point where I don't even have to say find a G. We can open the piece, and they can find whatever do is and
Wow.
sing the scale, or find their starting pitch and sing the first chord. And it's really not nearly as fancy or difficult as you would think, but it is training their ears like nobody's business, and it's happening so fast, and it's really cool, and they love it. They
Right.
love hitting shiny things against other things. It's like
Yeah,
they're
especially middle school.
I got an email today because one of my students got in trouble in another class because she was taking her tuning fork, which
Oh,
they're not
no.
supposed to take out of the chorus room unless it's in their chorus binder, but they're not going to because it's shiny. She was like hitting it on different surfaces and trying to make those surfaces make,
Uh,
because
uh-huh.
like put it against a desk or a table or something, that rings as an A, and the kids think that's the coolest thing ever.
The
So
teacher did
yeah,
not.
her teacher and the dean email me about this girl and her tuning fork in her English class. It was the funniest thing, but I
Nice.
kind of secretly loved it. I know the teacher wasn't that happy, but I was pretty thrilled about it.
Yeah. That's a real world application of
And this is a girl who often does not give a snot about what we're doing.
uh-huh.
Um, Beautiful voice and really musically motivated, but has trouble engaging.
Mhm.
But this has helped to hook her a little bit, which is really, really cool.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, I mean, and using the tuning fork will get you as the director away from the piano.
Oh yeah, I don't really use it in those classes anymore.
Yeah, I mean that's fantastic. I mean, I didn't go to school as a pianist. I'm not like I can get by. I don't enjoy. It's a tool for
I
me.
can't get by, so this was like a lifesaver.
Yeah, I mean when I say get by, I mean play the parts barely. But like
Right.
it. I don't enjoy it. It's a tool. It's not. It doesn't sound musical, but getting them to sing a cappella or with tuning forks
Right.
that solves all those musical problems.
Oh
And
yeah, for sure. And I like really can't play well at all, to the point where I think it was last year. I kind of snuffed it out for this year. But last year, if I made like a bunch of mistakes in a row, the kids were permitted to sing the "Powers can't play, powers can't play, powers can't play, hey 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 hey" song. So that
nice.
that's a part of our culture. And I'll be playing a line along with them, and they'll read it better than I'll play it, and then I'm like
Uh
messing you up on the piano. So this has definitely helped to get me away from the piano for sure. And it
sure.
gives the kids ownership of what they're doing, and like sometimes they'll get annoyed with me. They'll be like, "Mr. Powers, we have our tuning forks. You don't need to play it on the piano." Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, um, and how cool is that they want to take ownership of that? They want to find their notes, and
Mhm.
it's just awesome. It also gives them an automatic something to do that is musical and productive if they're like finished up with another task. Um, my classes are huge, so I can't do written stuff as often as I want to.
Yeah.
But when I do, 75 different kids finish at 75 different times. So,
Mhm.
um, in, instead of sitting around or like just, write your solfege in, I can say, figure out your part from measures, 4 to 8, and they can take their tuning fork, find their starting pitch, and or find out, sing a scale themselves, find their starting pitch, and start reading. And
Right.
so, they can basically lead their own little practice session without having to sit in front of a piano or without me needing to guide them.
Yeah. And these are middle schoolers.
Correct. Seventh and eighth
I mean,
graders.
that's you couldn't ask for that to for them to do that even in any better way that's
Right.
more
Yeah, it's amazing.
constructive.
No, it definitely there's a lot of structuring that leads up to it. I mean, if I
Sure.
just handed the tuning forks to them and said, have at it, there would be a whole lot less eyeballs,
Yeah.
in heads and stuff like that. So you lay ground rules, but you also have to not go wah 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 with the rules
Mhm.
too. You make sure that the rules are a lot about personalizing it and caring about it. And right off the bat, I tell them this is chorus's gift to you. This is yours forever. You can take it to high school chorus. You can take it beyond that. Wherever you sing, you have this with you. It's your piece of middle school chorus and this experience that you loved, and it's going to help you in your musical independence and in your life. And I make a big deal out of that, and that is very meaningful to them and to me. So automatically they want to take care of it. um and then we personalize it. I got a thing on Amazon for like 20 bucks of like 10 rolls of washi tape.
Mhm.
They have all these like fun little designs on them, so the kids, they can wrap the washi tape. You can't do it around like the two prong part because it might bring it a little out of tune or muffle it when you hit it, that kind of thing. But
Right.
you do it on the end of it that has the ball on it or whatever. You can wrap some washi tape around it, and then they put their initials on it. And then I'll have kids take it home and like dip it in paint or like nail polish and glitter or like
Mhm.
things to it. They personalize it that way, and so and they like I encourage them to name it. A bunch of the kids have named their tuning fork, and then they want to take care of it, and they start really valuing using it for the appropriate reasons at the appropriate times
Right.
because it's there. it's their musical thing that they can cling to. And I make a big deal out of them with them too about how it gives them control of the process, how they really don't need me. And they're like, well, I don't want you anyway. So great. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. So much of our jobs as choir directors is trying to get us to not have to be there.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this is a huge tool towards independence. And it's one that they love. And it's one that's just like so shockingly easy to
Yeah.
work.
And I just thought of this when I went to National ACDA in Dallas.
Mhm.
It was, maybe 4 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, Salt Lake City.
Uh, Talus scholars,
Yep.
they use a tuning fork
Yeah.
for all their
You do
starting pitches.
you come across groups that use tuning forks. I might be wrong. I feel like I've seen at least someone in Westminster choir
Uh-huh.
use a tuning fork. Um, but yeah, I mean it's super helpful. And if you're a super advanced group, you're doing an atonal piece, and it's crazy hard to find a given pitch. You have your tuning fork right there, and it
Hmm.
it doesn't make sound unless you hold it right up. Well, obviously it's making sound, but
Right.
you have to hold it right up to your ear to hear it. So, you can find your pitch, more or less out of thin air, and then you don't have to figure out a stupid annoying interval.
Right. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just find a
So
slightly less annoying interval to find off of A440 and you're good to go.
there you go. Um, do you have a moment that you decided or you knew that you wanted to be a choir director?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I think that I was kind of relatively predestined to do something musical just because I just lived and breathed for choral music growing up just for singing. But my sophomore year of high school, my choir director, Chris Hartel, took us to Italy. We did an Italy tour, and he made it a requirement to audition for the advanced group that year. And so the entire group went, which was awesome. And I just had the time of my life, and it was so cool to sing Renaissance music where Renaissance music was born.
That is cool.
It's just like it doesn't get better than that. So we were in one of the many chapels singing.
Hmm.
I think we were singing Vittoria's O Magnum Mysterium,
Yep.
and it was it was just like bone chilling. It was such an incredible moment seeing the kind of structure where that would have been performed when it was first written, like maybe even like the kind of a chapel where it would have been premiered, and feeling so musically connected to the group. And I remember in the middle of singing, not thinking about the singing itself at all, but thinking, I want to give experiences this powerful to other students. And so that's why, and then from then on, that's what I wanted to do was be a choir director so that I could make sure that kids had really powerful musical experiences. I haven't taken a group to Italy yet. I should probably get on that, but
Yeah. You just put that in your budget.
yeah, it's like super cheap, super easy. So
Yeah,
I know a lot of teachers who do lots of trips though, and like big trips, and that just like
Yeah.
it seems crazy to me. But I mean, there are also awesome companies who will put that together for you. Like we used to do a lot of trips through Music Celebrations International and stuff like
Hmm.
that. They'll, do everything, and you just have to pay and show up.
Yeah. Which is
So
a lot of fundraising.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But if you're in a neighborhood where that's possible, it's totally worth it.
sure. Yeah, and
It
it
helps
always
the neighborhood where you can fundraise everything. And if you're not in one of those neighborhoods, it's incredibly hard. It's really prohibitive. Like
yeah.
my partner loves to go on trips with his kids, and that was one of his big inspiring things in high school too, was going on choir trips. Um, and his kids are awesome and his families are awesome, but they live in a neighborhood where fundraising is like near impossible.
Hmm.
So he certainly can't do an international trip. He hasn't been able to go over state lines yet. He almost could this year, but it didn't work out just because of funding and fundraising needs. So
Right.
I wish that was something that was just more accessible for everyone.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because at least it seems this way to me that music and travel kind of go hand in hand. You
Yeah,
get
well, they're both incredibly cultural experiences,
right.
and to
Yeah.
be able to be able to put a location and a memory to the piece of music makes it so much more powerful too. Especially
Right.
if you go somewhere where, a composer lived, or where a
Hmm.
certain genre of music was born, or something like that.
Yeah, you get more aspects than just this is the music and this is how it sounds. You get the
Right.
architecture, the
But
history.
it makes it so real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trips are incredible. They're awesome. I should probably not be a jerk and start taking, now that we're talking about it, we go to Disney, and we
Hey,
go
so do we.
to,
Yeah.
hey, and Disney's awesome.
Disney's
And
great.
take them to a fun spot at the end of the year. They love that. That's super fun.
Yeah.
And
I mean, just have them walk around Epcot. It's like going around
yep,
the whole world.
that's right. Super cultural. Super. So yeah, no, I mean, I love little trips. I need to get back on the big trip bandwagon. My kids ask me to. They're like, "Are we going somewhere this year?" I'm like,
Well,
but no, it's a lot of kids, man.
yeah, that's a
It's
lot of middle schoolers. Yeah.
it's fun though.
Um, do you have a favorite musical experience, either as a performer or as an audience member? I mean, you just mentioned the one in Italy.
That was probably, as a performer, that's probably the one. Well, that's one of the ones that stuck with
Hmm.
me. So last year, I'm in a group called Festival Singers of Florida, which you should be too. And now that I'm saying that on the podcast, which makes it real.
Yeah.
Um, and for anybody interested, no, it's this, um, basically like a post grad choir. It's mostly made up of music teachers around the state of chorus teachers around the state of Florida. We have teachers and professors from other states as well. Um, Dr. Kevin Fenton from FSU is the director. We also have basically like assistant conductors, like Craig Zamer from Tennessee Tech is he always conducts a piece or two on our concerts, and he's fantastic. Adams Roos, who's finishing up his PhD at FSU. He does as well. He's awesome. James Brown, who's at Troy, he does as well. So we have people from lots of different backgrounds and schools and stuff in the choir, and it's fantastic. So we have this partnership with the Nairobi Chamber Chorus,
Hmm.
and that is just such a remarkable group of people. They're incredibly, incredibly sweet, outward-looking, musical human beings. And they were just incredible to get to know. So they came to the U.S. last year, and we had a joint concert with them, and there was just so much good about that concert, and hearing them perform, and then being able to perform some group stuff with them. One of the combined pieces that we performed with them is it was a manuscript of an arrangement that I did of the Leonard Cohen Hallelujah, and that was, as like an arranger, that was really
Yeah.
powerful for me, um, having people from, like across the world being able to sing that piece with them, and having it
Yeah.
have a very similar meaning to us as it has to them. That was just, I will never forget that.
That is
Um,
pretty cool.
yeah. And I did an arrangement for them too of, again, manuscript, and of Heal the World, and the Michael Jackson song. And that too was just, it was to have a Kenyan choir singing about peace. And Kenya, people, the people there, well, the members of Nairobi Chamber Chorus just love Kenya. They love
Uh-huh.
it. They talk about how fun it is, and they want us to come over, and they say, "Oh, just come live there. It's great. It's a lot of fun." And so, but when we think of Africa over here, a lot of the time, or most parts of Africa, we think like war torn, and
Right.
complete poverty. And there definitely is poverty, and there definitely are warlords and tribes and stuff, but there's also so many normal awesome areas with normal awesome people,
Uh-huh.
and who speak way better English than I do, or any of us in Festival Singers do, and are like way more cultured and way cooler. And so that was just such an eye-opening experience performing with them, and them singing a song with a text like Heal the World was just important. And then we have this song, Ukotula, that we perform all the time, and
Uh-huh.
uh, that was promoted a lot this past year through A Voice for Peace and the UN's International Day of Peace, and choirs all around the world um, made recordings of Ukutula, and basically sent them into one database. I think it's av4p.org, right? Or is it a voiceforpeace.org? I should know this. I don't know.
I'll put it in your show
I think
notes.
it's a voice for peace with the number 4.org.
Okay.
And so you can see a bunch of the videos there. But we finished our concert by singing that piece with them, spread all around a church sanctuary, United Methodist Church in Orlando, and or First United Methodist Church in Orlando, and it was unreal because the piece is just about peace,
Right.
and singing that with them, and there was no conductor, and the soloist was incredible. Maureen is just nuts, and a feeling of how many singers was it? Gosh, must have been 80 or 90 singers being completely together with no conductor. The tempo was always fluctuating, the dynamic was always fluctuating, but the meaning was always the same and the connection
Hmm.
was always the same. And so that was just incredibly powerful. So that was a lot of moments. I can't pick a favorite,
Yeah. No,
uh,
that's okay.
but definitely those are definitely my favorites.
Yeah.
And those also trump audience experiences.
Sure. Yeah.
I've said that word. Sorry. Those also audience experiences for me.
Yeah. When we, um, I brought some of my high school students up to sing with the Festival Singers of Florida, and then you all ended with Ugutula. So that was
Yeah.
so I got to hear that, and so that was a great thing. And Eddie Hong, who's
Yep.
also a member, he teaches in Lake Placid, which is right next
Yeah. Yeah,
to
you
my
guys could
school.
carpool to rehearsals.
Yeah,
When
we could. I could talk to him about that. Just to dig in the hole
yeah,
deeper and
I
deeper.
sometimes.
But he also mentioned I had him on the podcast, and he also mentioned the same story that you're talking about for
Yeah.
his profound moment. So that's, I mean, that's pretty special.
There's something about that piece and the way that Dr. Fenton and Ken Wakia have really created new meaning for it
Hmm.
and connect so many people. It's just incredible.
So, what got you into arranging music?
Um I had to for my acapella group to survive.
Ah, yeah.
um Yeah, I actually started when I was in a different group my freshman year of college, and that group was a lot of fun too. It was called Floodline, and I loved singing pop a cappella music. I didn't really know like anything about it before I got to college,
Hmm.
but I had heard of pop a cappella groups being a thing, and so I auditioned for that one. Well, I auditioned for a different one first. Totally didn't get in,
Oh,
uh, and shouldn't have gotten in. So it was great that I didn't audition for this one. Did get in, um, and I like singing the director's arrangements, and I wanted to just kind of try it. Um, I think I did an arrangement. I did do an arrangement of Maud Sora, Rock of Ages in high
uh-huh.
school. Um, and I think so. That must have been the first one. But then, I got into this, and uh, I think my first arrangement took me like 6 months on and off. It was terrible,
Hmm.
and it was awful, by the way, as well.
Yeah,
First,
most people's
yeah,
first ones are.
yep, yeah. I mean, most of my arrangements are period, but sometimes confusion happens.
That's hard on
Um,
yourself.
but yeah, I just, it's just fun. It's like putting a puzzle together.
Hmm.
But like fitting a bunch of pieces together, but being able to come with some creative, ideas, little like ostinati and, a different way to sing a harmony, a different way to interpret a chord progression, that kind of thing. And just putting those together is really intellectually stimulating.
Yeah.
And so I just loved it. And so I just started making more and more and more. And I arrange all the time for my students. If there's a song I want to do and there's not an arrangement of it, I just arrange it. And um, I really, it's if just for any other choral directors who are interested in arranging, it takes a long time to get started. Your first arrangement takes forever.
Hmm.
It's any good, like we just said,
Right.
but it's so beneficial to you and your ear to to start doing that, and it's incredibly beneficial to your kids because you know their ranges, you know their strengths, you know what concepts they need to learn, you know what they can handle, and so you can cater your arrangements to your students, and it fits them like a glove.
Hmm.
And they love it because it's made for them. You love it because it fits them, and you can work in whatever concepts you want them to learn. Um, and you get to pick the well, we all pick the repertoire, but
Right.
oftentimes kids are like, ugh, that song. But
Mm-hmm.
we're forgiving if it's arranged for them, and oftentimes if it's an arrangement, it's like a pop style. So they'll be all about it if they think it's a pop song. But then, like, jokes on them, I make it like a totally traditional choral arrangement. They're like, "Wow, the song is so amazing," and I'm like, "Meh."
Yes, it is. That's
So I
great.
just flip them into doing what we need them to do.
Yeah.
So
Uh, do you have a website, or like how do you get
no.
your music out?
Well, it's tricky because there's a lot of copyright laws, and I'm not
Right.
super well versed in them. But what I often do if a group wants an arrangement, I will absolutely do a custom arrangement for them, and then we use a service. This is mostly what I've done is I use Tresona, Tresona.
Okay.
It's tresonamusic.com or tresonamusic.org. I'm really bad at websites tonight. And you can request an arrangement license through them. And so they will make sure that legally you are covered to perform the arrangement at that given time. You don't have to worry about licensing. So like charge if you're going to perform a custom arrangement and charge tickets for it, technically that would be making money off of somebody else's original work
Oh yeah.
arranged. And so in order to legally cover your butt, in order to legally cover your butt, this is a way you can do it. You get on Tresona and obviously you communicate with your arranger first and you request the arrangement license. They check with the original publishers,
Mm-hmm.
licensing approved, email the arranger to fill out a work for hire agreement, and then you just go from there. So
Oh wow.
it sounds like a lot of steps, but it's really not. It's pretty easy.
Okay. I didn't even know. Yeah, I didn't even know you had to even do all that.
Well,
Um.
I learned about it a couple, what was it, 2 summers ago because I really wanted to sell my arrangement of Hallelujah. I wanted to get it out there.
Right.
And it's in the Sony BMG catalog, and Hal Leonard has exclusive print rights for anything in the Sony BMG catalog, or at least did at the time.
Mm.
So I contacted them, and they said more or less so first I said, what would I need to do to get this arrangement looked at and possibly published? And they said, you have to be one of our stock arrangers because, we have
Uh.
a lot of people that we use. Um, so I said, well, can I, request print licensing for a certain number of copies? So basically I would pay them per copy and then I could charge, a certain amount per copy after that.
Right.
Um, and they said, oh, for like, a certain uh, you can for a low amount of copies you should be fine. And then but if it conflicts with our publishing interests at the time, then we're not going to be able to approve it. So I submitted and they were not able to approve it. So I was trying to
Uh.
figure out how else to legally be able to do it, and then Tresona ended up being the answer for that.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, that's great that there's a service that's allowing you to do it at
Yeah.
all.
For sure. I think there's a bunch of different mediums. This is the one that I'm the most familiar with, and
Mm-hmm.
I know it's legal, and I like that I know it's legal. So I know that I'm
Sure.
not, slapped with any fines or anything like that. So
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Um, do you want to give some contact info if anyone wants to get a custom arrangement from you?
yeah, absolutely. My email address is evannp33@gmail.com. So it's EVA, N as in Nancy, another N as in Nancy, P as in Peter, 33 at gmail.com. And I love doing custom arrangements, and whatever voicing, whatever skill level. I've been doing a lot of middle school and high school lately, but I've also done stuff for college choirs and that kind of thing. So
That's excellent.
yeah.
Well, I will put that in the show notes for your
Oh, cool.
episode,
Well,
and
thanks,
I'm
Zach.
trying to pull up what episode this is. I believe this is episode 11.
Ooh.
I
Oh, this is like
believe.
a baby podcast.
Yeah. Well, I'm only doing one a month. So,
Cool.
uh,
So it's
this,
kind of a baby podcast.
yeah. So I started in the summer. So I did a couple in the summer, and then now I'm doing one a month because school.
School, baby,
Yeah, baby, and what
responsibilities,
else?
baby.
Let me see. So, oops. No, you're number 10, episode 10.
Wow.
So yeah, you can go to zackthompsonmusic.weebly.com/10 for Evan Powers show link.
Thank
So yeah, so that'd be great. All right, a couple more questions, then we can wrap it up.
Sure.
What advice would you give your 25-year-old self?
3 whole years ago.
Oh,
Uh,
oh, you're about my age. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm 27.
Well, when I was 25, I think that was my last year teaching at Fleming Island High School. I just loved that experience. But that last year, I just tried to add every extracurricular group under the sun and then some. So, for example, we had, gosh, I had two different after school a cappella groups, one girls, one mixed. Um, on Thursdays, I would bring kids. We would walk over to the elementary school that was just like a quarter mile away, and we would like sing with their elementary choir. So what was this? Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays. I think one of the groups might have been twice a week after school. Fridays after school, we had a songwriting club. Oh, I had a vocal jazz group. That's right. So that was one of the other days. So it was two a cappella groups, vocal jazz, elementary, songwriting club. So that took up all 5 afternoons, right? Then my assistant principal was retiring, and he said, "Evan, I really, really want to have doo-wop on your spring concert. I would love for you guys to do doo-wop." And we had been talking about this for like years, and I made him make me like a doo-wop playlist of stuff he loved, and I was
Uh-huh.
just gonna like, find arrangements of stuff that he loved and do some arranging, transcribing, whatever. Um, but I had no after school time to do it. So we had early morning doo up twice a week. School started at 7:15, so we met at 6:45. I brought the kids donuts, and that was like their incentive. You show up, you get donuts, and you learn doo-wop music at 6:45 in the morning.
Ugh.
So I would tell my 25-year-old self to freaking not do that.
Yeah.
Way too many extracurriculars, and I was just like burning the rope at both ends because that's when I was really getting into some leadership stuff in the state, like an ACDA and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was arranging, which does take a long time, and I was starting to produce shows for varsity vocals that year or maybe the year before, I think too, and that's with the ICCA and ICHSA. That's another thing. As long as we're advertising, if
Uh-huh.
you have a pop acapella group, varsity vocals, man, it's the best. ICHSA is a fabulous competition, and you should absolutely look into it. VarsityVocals.com. Let me make sure that's the .com.
So what? Yeah, describe that. This is the first time I'm hearing of this.
What?
I
You've never?
mean,
Okay,
I'm
you've
I'm,
seen
a, I'm I've been in Florida not even 1 year.
Dude, this is an international competition. Literally, if you go to the website, one of the first things it says is acapella around the globe. So have you seen it? It is varsityvocals.com. Have you seen the movie Pitch Perfect?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know the competition that they're in,
Uh-huh.
ICCA? That's a real thing.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's been around for a long time. And
Mm-hmm.
the only difference is that we don't have like announcers
Right.
who make really crude, awesome comments the whole time. Though I do wish Elizabeth Banks was the announcer for every competition that we have. She's
Yeah.
not, but we do have like we every show has an MC, and the MC is awesome. And it's we have the we have ICCA, which is the International Competition for Collegiate Acapella,
Mm-hmm.
and there are collegiate groups all over the country and in the UK who compete in that. Um, and then ICHSA it's been around for a few years, not as long as ICCA, but close to it, and it has exploded in the last few years. High school a cappella has just gotten so much more popular,
Right.
and teachers are looking for something to do with their groups. So, and they've started bringing their groups to this competition. And like for example, um, I produce shows for the South and the Southwest. So the Southern region used to just be Florida. There were some
Mm-hmm.
groups in Florida who would compete. And then it became Florida and like a Georgia group, and then Florida and a Tennessee group, and that kind of thing. Um, and then a bunch more groups started getting involved. So it broke into last year, it broke into the South and the Southeast. So Southeast was like Florida and that kind of thing. And the South quarterfinal was in, or semifinal was in Georgia, and it had groups from Georgia, Tennessee, and North Carolina. So
Mm-hmm.
these high school groups are just popping up all over the place. And then I had one Southwest show that was in San Antonio, Texas, and we had some groups flying down from Colorado for that show and that kind of thing. This year, there are three quarterfinals and a semifinal in the South and in the Southwest. So we've gone from two shows 2 years ago to three last year to eight this year. It
Yeah.
just like completely exploded. And like in Florida, we have two shows. We have a quarterfinal in Fort Myers in 2 weeks, and then the semifinal for the Southern region, which is goes up to North Carolina and right now over to Tennessee. I think that's about as far west as it goes. Bunch of groups in Florida, Georgia, in between. The semifinal for them is in Winter Park, Florida.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
yeah, close to home for me. And then the winner of that, and the winner of every semifinal goes to New York City, and they perform at Town Hall, which is a beautiful venue,
Nice.
for the national finals. And the groups that compete there are just like, it is out of this world what these groups can do. It is
Mm-hmm.
awesome. I can't recommend the competition highly enough. It is
Yeah.
we have great panels of judges at every show, and they a lot of them have educational backgrounds. They all have acapella backgrounds, and so they give fantastic feedback to all of the groups. You get to meet other acapella groups who are in your state or in other states, and I've definitely gotten to meet a lot of choral directors through it, which is
Uh,
awesome. Like I have all these choral director friends in Texas now that I never would have known if I didn't do these shows. So
right.
it's fantastic for networking. You learn a ton about the genre, and the kids love to compete because it means they get to travel. It brings your group together. It's awesome. So
Yeah, I will definitely check that out. That
I don't
sounds
know how we
amazing.
tangented to that, but I'm glad we did because it's
Yeah,
awesome.
me too.
Yeah,
I'm learning a bunch just by talking to people on this podcast.
that's so cool.
Yeah, I mean,
VarsityVocals.com. And the show that centers around ICCA, it's called Sing It On. It's on Pop TV,
okay.
which used to be the TV Guide channel. So I
Oh,
think it's on Netflix too. It's a really fun show. You should check it out.
okay. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Do
There's
you?
one episode that Reverb guys were in the background of. And I was like, yeah, because that was my
Oh
college
wait,
group.
so the show's on Netflix?
Yep.
What's it
Yeah,
called?
season one's on Netflix. I think season two might even be up on Netflix. I'm
What's the
almost
show?
positive it
What's the
is.
show called?
It's called Sing It On.
Sing It On.
Sing it on, man.
I will check that out. We have
Here's another
Netflix.
thing
Yeah,
that I
I'll look
really
it up.
should know is whether or not season two is on Netflix. I know if it's not, it's going to be available very soon, but season one is absolutely up there and you should check it out.
Okay, I will.
Cool.
Do you have a favorite app?
So, my music teacher nerd self really loves Tenuto. It's the
Yeah.
musictheory.net app
Oh yeah.
because it's awesome for your training in theory and that kind of thing. Um, I am not well versed in apps, nor am I interesting when it comes to technology. So
No, it doesn't have to
I don't.
be a
I
profound
mean,
answer.
my kids loves them some musically. They're all about that right now.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, I'm definitely browsing Netflix right now to see if the Sing It On second season is on.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, that's my I guess that's my favorite app, Tenuto. I don't know. I love Pandora. I listen to that a lot on my phone as well.
Yeah, that's good. Those are both good.
Pokemon Go is not a problem either. I haven't been into it lately, but it was a minor addiction over the summer.
Oh, there you go.
My
Do you?
kids used to love it too. Huh?
Yeah, yeah. They would come into choir and try
Oh
to
yeah,
find
no.
Pikachu or
So
something.
my kids have to, they're supposed to anyway, turn off their phones right before first period starts, right? And I have those 40 beginning boys
Hmm.
first period. And so early in the school year, they're like they're so sweet and they're really rule followy. So they like knew they were supposed to put their phones away. But they were like, Powers, there's a gold duck right here. And I was like, it's okay, guys, you can catch it. And so they're all like pulling out their phones and like doing it.
Nice.
Oh my God, cracking me up.
Do you have a favorite book? Could be
Uh,
any kind of book.
so I should read so much more than I do.
That's okay.
So I'm a really slow reader,
Hmm.
and I love the information in books, love it, and I've definitely gotten hooked on books. Like the first Hunger Games book, once I started reading it, I just didn't stop reading it until it was done. Um, but I don't read as much as I should. I do books on tape, a lot, or
Yeah.
like I use Audible in the car because my drive to work is long. Right now, I'm actually listening to a book called Make It Stick, and it's awesome. It outlines all these studies about retention and the most effective ways to learn and retain information. And I just started majorly listening to it over the weekend. And I've been applying the principles in my class starting,
Okay.
is it Monday? So I was doing a bunch of them today, and it's like it's totally awesome.
No, yeah, man.
That was great. Lynn Gackle wrote this fantastic book that I've also been working on, Finding Ophelia's Voice. I believe that's what it's called. It's nearby, so I'm looking for it. Are you familiar with the book?
No.
Um, oh gosh, I keep bringing up titles of things and not. Oh, here it is. Here, can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Finding Ophelia's Voice, Opening Ophelia's Heart, and it's about centers around her studies on the female changing voice, the girl's adolescent changing voice.
Hmm.
There's amazing information in this book, so I've really been loving reading that too.
Well, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never. Yeah, usually when I ask that, people say that they wish they read more. I've never met someone that says I read the exact right amount. Like it's always I don't read enough. So
Those
no.
cultural things, like we're told we're supposed to read, and we
Yeah.
really should read, but we just,
You
well,
just-
when do we have time?
yeah, time exactly.
Right. And like if I used to try and read right before bed, but I fall asleep 3 pages in just because like
Hmm.
work days are long then.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No pressure. Other than music, do you have any hobbies?
Um, uh, my fiance is pretty cool. I'm really excited. We're getting married in June, so like
Wow!
spending time.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So spending time with him is the best.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know, friends, social time. That's really the big thing. If there is free time, which there isn't much, I try and make sure that it's social time. So yeah, arranging is the other big hobby, but that's music, so that's not a valid answer for this question.
That's fine. Can you talk about your programming for your choir for the upcoming season?
Yeah. I I always try and program theme concerts. It's helped to tie things together for me. It actually makes programming a little bit easier too. If you think of a theme that really inspires you, or just a theme that you can use as like a word in a browser, or a search word in a browser. It just helps to kind of hone in on specific pieces, specific composers, texts that all tie into each other. So this I have a student teacher for the first time, and she's fantastic. Her name's Megan Lotze, and she'll be looking for jobs in the fall. Megan Lotze, Lotze. She's
Okay.
awesome. She was a double major in music ed and literature, and still managed to graduate in 4 years. I don't know how she did that, or
Hmm.
she's on her way to. So we're doing a concert. Well, it's our music performance assessment season.
Yeah.
So we have our MPAs coming up, and typically the theme of that concert is choral music that we enjoy singing, or
Yeah.
progress made over the course of one semester. Whatever.
Hmm.
But we program this all around literary and poetic texts, and we're having a blast with it. And so, because biblical texts can work into that, so we do have a couple of sacred pieces. We're doing Laura Farnell's "Rest Not." It's an
Hmm.
awesome piece for developing men's choir, and It's based on a Wadsworth Longfellow text. We're doing it. J. Reese Norris did this awesome composition recently called "We Sing of Love," and it's beautiful, and it has "Set Me as a Seal." I think that's Song of Solomon, right? So that's part of
Yeah.
that. Sounds right. So that's part of the text of the piece, and so that ties into the literary thing, kind of. And it's just beautiful, and then we stretched a little bit. Well, I get it's a poetic text, but Jake Narvarad did this awesome for middle school guys and high school guys, I'm sure. TTB arrangement of O Sole Mio,
Okay.
like the opera. O
Yeah,
Sole Mio. Oh my
yeah.
God, it's so good. It's just like it's written in a wonderful range for the boys.
Uh-huh.
It's just smart writing. It's engaging. So we're doing that. Can you tell I'm a little excited about
No,
it?
yeah, that's it.
Um,
Is
we're
that
actually,
FEA? Is that on the FEA list?
probably not.
Okay.
I like, I mean, you're allowed to ask your
No,
district
yeah.
on it just
I'm always
so.
looking. I'm always trying to get, like the one that I like that I can be on the list and then go from there.
Well, with the list though, I mean, they strongly encourage you to use something on the list, but if you are dead set on doing two pieces with a group that are not both on the list,
Hmm.
you can ask your district chair for approval.
Yeah.
So I do that like every year. All my groups, almost all my groups, but there's tons of awesome stuff on the FVA list. Actually, I shouldn't say all my groups. I definitely use stuff off the list. You're allowed to use the Texas list too if you want.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so and then Jake wrote Lunar Lullaby a few years ago, and I know that a lot of groups have been performing that, and the
Hmm.
reason is because it is gorgeous and kids love singing it. So one of my groups is doing that too. Um, I don't know, just a bunch of literary and poetic stuff. It's awesome. And I'm trying to Skype in composers and experts
That's
more
cool.
now. So Jake is going to Skype in with my group, and Jay Reese Norris is going to Skype in with my advanced women doing his piece. They're also doing this Rupert Lang Cantate Domino, which is like the coolest thing ever, and I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure it's a little too much of a stretch, but it's still fun to put together.
Yeah.
Um, and then who else? Oh, we're doing an Audrey Snyder setting of Ma Navu. It's a Hebrew text.
Okay.
It's super fun. And in Florida, we have Corrine Duffy is a professor at University of Miami Frost School of Music, and one of her specialties is Jewish choral music and multicultural choral music. And so we're gonna Skype her in, and she's so sweet, and she's on Facebook, Coreen Duffy. Um,
Okay.
she's gonna Skype in with the group that's doing that, and just like give them stylistic pointers and that kind of thing. So I'm really trying to move in the direction of I need to be in front of my groups less, and other more important people need to be in front of my groups more.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean,
So
yeah, but you can do those
energized.
kind of things with technology now.
Yeah,
A lot
I
easier.
mean, we are right now, even though it took me 8 years to get Skype working.
No, yeah, that's fine. These things happen. Well, I thank you so much for being on this podcast. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure the listeners will get a lot of value out of this and can
Cool.
go to
Hope so.
lots of different areas just from listening to this podcast.
Thanks.
Um,
I'm totally honored that you asked me to be on here. I really appreciate
yeah.
it.
Can you just kind of end with giving the listeners some parting words of encouragement or advice?
Oh gosh. Keep being inspired by your kids and make sure that you appreciate them for exactly who they are. Because when I started teaching middle school, I kind of hated it. Like
Uh huh.
kind of really hated it. I had some
Mm-hmm.
girls who just wanted nothing to do with me in an advanced class, and they're like arms folded. It was bad, and I was coming into this really beautifully established choral program with these girls who just wanted nothing to do with me because I wasn't their old teacher, which I understand. Their old teacher was phenomenal. So it and I just kept wanting them to rise to my occasion, be the human that I expect you and need you to be. And uh, are the expectations that we set as teachers are so important, and you have to set the bar high, and you have to set expectations, and you have to stick to your expectations, but you also have to know and understand and love and be inspired by exactly the kids that you teach. I had to stop and step away and say, I need to stop trying to make you be who I want you to be, and I need to learn who you are and appreciate you for exactly who you are. And then we can work together to see, where we need to elevate, what kind of human points we need to be earning right now, what kind of, music we need to be, how we need to be improving as musicians, and work together and get them from where they are to where they can go. But you're never going to be able to do that if you don't figure out where they are. And so that was the turning point in my middle school teaching career. And now I love teaching middle school, and I love it more than I loved teaching high school. And I didn't think that would be a thing, but it's because I learned who my kids were, and I love them, and I'm inspired by them every day.
Well, that's great advice. Well, thank you so much, Evan.
Cool. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you for listening to the Choir Conductor podcast. Please subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and leave a review. Go to zachthompsonmusic.weebly.com for show notes, an archive of podcast episodes, and free compositions. Have a great week.